Imagine all your audio entertainment available in just one place. That's what the Audible app is all about. With Audible, you can always find the best of what you love or discover something new. Audible has an incredible selection of wellness titles and originals, like The Light Podcast by Michelle Obama, Work It Out by Mel Robbins, and Confidence Gap by Russ Harris. Membership includes access to Audible originals, podcasts, and tons of audiobooks that you can download or stream as much as you want. And as an Audible member, you can choose one title per month from an ever-growing catalog of titles to keep. The Audible app makes it easy to listen anytime, anywhere, whether you're traveling, working out, doing chores, wherever your day takes you. New members can try Audible now free for 30 days. Visit audible.com/motivation or text motivation to 500-500. That's audible.com/motivation or text motivation to 500-500 to try Audible free for 30 days.
The weather is cooling down a bit. The leaves are starting to fall. Yes, it's that time of year again. Football season. And we all know the best part of any game day traditions are the ones that involve food. There's nothing like having everyone in your game day crew coming together to bring their best bites and argue over whose family makes the best chili. And while there's no need to mess with the perfection of game day classics, like a freshly grilled Oscar Mayer hot dog topped with Heinz ketchup and mustard, it's always fun to step out of your comfort zone and get creative with your recipes. Because there's nothing more fun than adding to your list of game day traditions, like making a creamy and delectable queso dip with Velveeta cheese that can be eaten with so much more than just chips. Now is the chance for people across the nation to find out whose game day eats reign supreme. It's your turn to show off your tasty game day food traditions. Go to www.gamedayfoodtraditions.com to share a photo of your game day food tradition to enter to win $10,000. Once again, that's www.gamedayfoodtraditions.com to enter to win $10,000.
This is Full Change with Tom Laidlaw.
Well, we're taping this show in July, and you know how I know it's July? Because two things. It's the free agent frenzy happened just recently, and in the True Grit studios, there's no air conditioning.
Suck it up, Buttercup. Suck it up. Let's go.
It's got it. The temperature's got to be 90 in the True Grit studios.
It's mind over matter. You just don't pay attention to the heat.
I don't mind, but it does matter because it's really hot. We're sweating like pigs, but we're bringing.
I'm not sweating. I'm fine.
We're putting out some great content, so I'm happy to do it.
Yes, good shows today. Two good shows.
Absolutely. Yeah. So July 1st, free agent frenzy. Nothing really earth shattering happened.
Yeah, I was surprised how quickly it all happened, too. Sometimes it drags on a little bit longer, but the signings happened right away. The Rangers picked up Wheeler, that was the captain of the Winnipeg Jets, and Mr. Quick, Jonathan Quick, the Vegas Golden Knights.
Connecticut boy who wants to come home, finish his career.
And who was his father-in-law?
Tom Laidlaw.
Jeez, that's awful.
Who's his father-in-law? I don't know.
Mike Backman, former New York Ranger.
Oh, number 21.
Yep.
Wow, did not know that.
Yeah. Then his other daughter had married... guy that played in Buffalo, a goal scorer that played in Buffalo years ago. I can't remember his name now. But yeah, the Backman family, it's all he coaches still around here locally.
Well, let's get him on the pod.
Yes, you know what? You're right. He's got some good stories.
Let's do it.
Actually, I watched an old video the other day. He, George McPhee, and Rod Duguay all played on a line together. We're really successful playing against the Islanders, too. Yeah, that's a good line.
Yeah, so Jonathan Quick always wanted to be a Ranger growing up. Now he's a Ranger. Blake Wheeler, they got on a buyout, so it was dirt cheap.
Yeah, you know what? That's the thing. They're both 1 year deals, I think, at $800,000 a year.
Yep.
So even if they're wrong with these guys, it's nothing.
Right.
It's hardly in the cap.
I think they signed 9 players total, all to 1 year deals. Right. So you can cut bait pretty easily. A lot of grinders.
Yeah. Well, again, you got Shesterkin, and arguably the best goaltender in the world. Some people don't agree with that, but
100% best goaltender in the world.
So there's a window, right? Is it a 10-year window, an 8-year window? He's at the top of his game. So you gotta stay in the game. But again, I like you mentioned, I like the 1 year deals because they don't want to continue to get older, because now that window closes more quickly. Jonathan Quick.
There you go. But they did get older. They got older and maybe a little bit slower. So they're getting a grinding team.
You know what though? I know it's a speed game, but you see the teams that win now. Look at Tampa. Patrick Maroon, those kind of guys played
traded to Minnesota.
Yeah. But he played such a big role with Tampa. He's not a fast guy, but he's that grinder, like it's a grind all the time. Yeah, you still need to have the speed. There's no question. But hockey's still hockey. I mean, come playoff time, you have to have people that are going to punish you, especially if you're going to play a 7-game series. it's got to be like, oh my God, do I have to play against this guy again?
You need a Patrick Maroon, who is a roller hockey player, by the way. Just this summer won a national roller hockey championship. So shout out to roller hockey players. He did.
But yeah, it's not just the physical part too; it's the mental part. It's like knowing that, okay, this guy's going to show up every day. He's yapping at me all the time. How about the other one too? Where is it? Reeves went to Toronto.
Yes,
and tough guy, and Milan Lucic back to Boston.
Back to Boston. That should be, and Max Domi to Toronto.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Yeah,
one. Wow.
So he went to Toronto. So a lot of these were 1-year signings and smaller signings. The Rangers lost Makala to Florida, and they lost Tarasenko to to Carolina.
Do you care about Tarasenko?
I don't think he was going to stay. I mean, everybody wants him. All these fans are doing this gymnastics, but I don't think it's going to happen. But the one that may stay, though, Kane is going to have hip surgery, or did have hip surgery.
Yep.
Now he might be available for, he's going to be on LTIR for a while, or at least a free agent for a while. They might be able to pick him up for cheap. Who knows?
Well, Larry Brooks had a great article, right? So it's a cap problem. So if he's out, for the whole year, like Kucherov was with Tampa that year, they won it. So there's no cap, and then he come in and play in the playoffs. That would be ideal for him. But from what I read, what Larry wrote, it didn't look like it was going to be that long. He's going to be out. It's like mid-season that he come back. Maybe there's way they can find it. And you're right. Listen, Patrick Kane is still a fantastic player. He was injured last year and couldn't play. He's
clearly hurt. And if you go back and look, he looks like he's upset, but he's probably wincing every time he's on the ice.
And he's a proud guy. He said he wanted to be here. He wanted to be here to win a cup. And he wanted to contribute the best he can, and he couldn't do it.
Maybe he stays.
Yeah, I mean that'd be fantastic if they could fit him in like partway through the season, like 2/3 of the way through the season. Also, that's like making a trade for a guy like that without taking any off.
And they also signed kind of under the radar. They signed Nick Bonino, who's going to be the fourth line center at Stanley Cup winner. I think that's a good signing too.
So again, see what they've done, right? So Wheeler is a former captain. Yep. Hopefully character guy. Jonathan Quick, everybody talks about what a great competitor he is. Really
Stanley Cup winner,
guy, right? And Bonino, as you mentioned, Stanley Cup winner.
Yep.
So they brought in a bunch of guys that are character and winners, right? Sure. So obviously, it looks like Drury, when he looked at the team, he said, "Okay, we got a ton of talent here, but what we're missing is that character, is leadership,
and some heaviness on the bottom six too."
Yep, totally, yeah. So I listen, and like we talked before, if it doesn't work, they're 1-year deals. They can cut them loose and.
Well, it's all going to. We've talked about this several times, but it's all going to be on the kids. If they don't develop this year, they're in big trouble because the Devils.
I know
they definitely loaded up.
See, they signed that
Timo Meier, 8 years.
But see, that's the hard part, right? So when you see Hughes and Heischer doing as well as they're doing over there in New Jersey,
or Heischer, either one.
Yeah, he changed it.
He does. He changed it. Swiss.
So, but I mean, I just now I said, okay, Lafreniere. Yeah. Wow.
Lafreniere, yes. Alex, number 13.
13. Okay, number 13. Wow. It's disappointing. And I think it's kind of it's probably unfair to him, but it's kind of a drain on the team a little bit too, because you're thinking there's so many expectations. Sure. First overall pick in the draft. And then again, Hughes doing so well in New Jersey. And
this is it. This is the year. This is the year for him and Kakko, I think. And I think the Rangers, I'm sure they know it. They're smarter than.
But then what do you do though? So if it doesn't work out for number 13, he's a first overall pick in the draft. What do you do with him?
He'll probably sign a bridge deal for 2 years, him and Miller both. And then I don't know what you do. Like, what happens at that point?
Yeah, like what's his value at that point, right?
Does he go the Yakupov route, or does he, like a lot of stat nerds online will say his even strength goals, he has as many as Zibanejad had in the last couple of years. But what are you seeing from him that says elite player?
Yeah, that's the thing. It's the eye test, right? The analytics are the analytics, but the eye test when you're watching him play, especially when he did so well last year in the playoffs, right? Yeah. I mean, he was a character hitting. He was into it.
He fought Stamkos after the one game.
Well, again, and my theory, again, purely just a theory, is that Hedl, Lafreniere, and Capo were all up higher in the lineup.
Sure.
Now Tarasenko and Kane come in, pushing those guys down in the lineup. And again, with those guys, Tarasenko and Kane not having a whole lot of success.
Yep.
I hope I'm wrong when I say it, but it almost looked like the young kids were saying they were sulking a little bit.
Yeah, it could be. And you know what? I think, again, we've talked about this. Scorers get their confidence on a power play. And these guys were getting 20 seconds, 15 seconds. I love the Rangers' first power play, but you got to mix these kids in. This is the future. You got to win with these guys.
Yeah, I hear you. But okay, now you're again, your window is here. The team is a contender to win the cup this past season, and you've got a power play opportunity, which is so important. And now you put these young kids on, you don't score. Everybody's saying, well, why are you playing the young kids?
Right.
Why not you go with the veterans that know what they're doing? They've done it before.
But to use the first 3 months of the season to get them equal power play time, just so they can build up that confidence. I don't know. I don't know what the answer is.
Yeah, and you know what? The answer is winning.
Yeah.
Whichever way you go, if you win, then you made the right move.
It's contagious. Yeah, it spreads. So that's the offseason for the Rangers.
What are the big signings? They had a free agent signings.
A lot of guys kept their guys. Sorokin stayed with the Islanders.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's a big deal because we do say that Shesterkin's the best goalie. I think he is, but Sorokin is not far behind.
Sorokin's very good, but then again, look at Vegas. They went with Aiden Hill.
Yeah,
who's kind of a retread, and he was a Stanley Cup winning goalie.
That happened before. Remember when
Matt Murray with the Penguins?
No, remember when Chicago won the Cup the first time with Kane scoring in that short goal? They had Leighton in. No, that was the Philly goal.
Philly had Leighton. Yeah, they had Corey Crawford.
I guess the reason I bring up the point is I was in the agent business at that time
for 22 years.
And I had Chris Mason, and he had a really good year in St. Louis, I think it was.
Yep,
he was a free agent. But at that time, the team was starting to think you didn't need a big, high-priced goaltender because the two teams that went to the finals did not have big name. So it's terrible for Chris because now everybody's like, "Well, no, we're not paying him $4 or $5 million a year. We're paying him like $1.5 million."
Sure, because your buddy, friend of the show, Brian Boucher, was the Flyers goalie, got hurt.
Yeah,
and I think Michael Leighton.
Yep.
He was the goalie in the Stanley Cup against Corey Crawford, who was also unknown. It was
probably right because Corey Crawford became a better goaltender, but at the time was not.
He did.
But that's interesting. It goes in that cycle, right? So now teams start to think, well, why am I paying a goaltender a big chunk of my cap? But then again, now you say, okay, what about Vasilevsky down in Tampa?
Sure,
they would not have won without him, right?
Great goaltender.
Right. So you go through those streaks where people think, no, you need to have that top-notch goaltender, and then also, and that is a little bit of the copycat league, right? Everybody says,
totally.
That's why everybody says like it's a speed game, and again, it is a speed game. But I like what Drury's doing, taking chances with these guys that are older, character guys, winners, to add that to the lineup. So
I think that's that's basically a reaction to the Rangers just not showing up for 3 of those games against Dallas. I mean, they didn't show. Yeah, maybe Goodrow, maybe Trouba a little bit, but they just didn't show for some of those games.
And we talked about it. There's a couple times that was it Goodrow got in a fight there in New Jersey, and
they fought the big hit on the Devils.
He turned and looked at the bench and said, "Let's go."
Right,
and there was no reaction. Right, and you're right. Drury was that kind of a player himself when he played. He was a skilled player, but he was a character guy too.
Yeah, and they definitely got to show up. And then the Devils, of course, speaking of the speed game, we talk about how young and fast they went out and got smoked by Carolina. Yeah. So who knows what's going to happen?
Yeah,
they have a good squad.
Yeah, I do. And then geez, look how good Carolina is. Florida got better. Tampa won't be as good. They got rid of some other guys, but they'll still be a contender. They should be a playoff team. So the East is tough. That's the hard.
It is, and even Boston.
Yeah, interesting how Bergeron is not. I haven't followed that very much, but he's not re-signed either. It kind of tells me he's going to retire.
I think it's a case of if he wants to come back, he comes back only to Boston, and that's it.
Totally.
I think the only ones out there really now are Kane and Bergeron.
Yep.
Not a lot left. So that happened quick, and now we're. Next up for us is the training camps.
Training camps coming up.
Oh, the draft happened. The Rangers drafted Yannick Perreault's son from the U.S. development team.
I saw that. I didn't realize that was his son. Okay, yeah. And Bedard went first overall as predicted. So
of course,
and man, he's a polished kid, right? Like
he's so polished.
Wow, he's 18 years old. I don't think people understand what that's like at 18 years old. Like, and now he's going to go into Chicago, and that whole organization is his. Like, it's on his shoulders.
Here you go, 18-year-old, carry the franchise. But you know what though? He'll be all right. You know why, Tom? Roller hockey player.
Was he a roller hockey
player? Still is. Still plays to this day. Plays in Vancouver.
Oh,
see?
Oh.
You know what you're missing. But the Rangers also picked a local kid from Pearl River who was a round post Saint. Drew in the third round.
Oh.
Drew for if I pronounce it wrong, Drew Fortescue. He's the defenseman the Rangers picked.
Oh,
and another one from the U.S. National Development Team.
That program's really gotten good over the years, man. I remember years ago where like USA Hockey was not like really produced, didn't have a plan like how to produce hockey. Like Canada, it's like a hockey factory, right? Kids, the culture is all about hockey and everything. And that was the way Canada was really beating the US most times. It was just that culture, like grind it out.
Well, that leads to a big philosophical discussion that they had is like, are you making this one super team that can compete with the national teams, or are you developing the entire program of American players? And people think that, well, maybe they're just really pouring all their eggs into this basket, which has great results. But it's just a limited number of players.
Well, I'll tell you, for me, when I moved back to this area and started coaching youth hockey here in Greenwich, Connecticut, my son was playing. So that was, 20 years ago, or whatever it was, 20 some years ago. 25 years ago. This whole area, I mean, there's some good pockets of team, like Mid-Fairfield had a good team.
Yep,
and everything.
Still do.
But around like this whole tri-state area now, way better teams, way better players being developed. The coaching is much better. So USA Hockey, I think, has tried to do their best. And I think they've done a good job of really developing coaches, developing the players all around. So the USA Hockey is better all around. You look at cities like St. Louis, LA, because of the players that had gone there to play, then they stay in the area and coach the young kids. So that all that hockey's got.
That's planting the seeds. That's really important. There's also in this area, as you know, there's crazy hockey parents.
Yeah,
I'm coaching my son's 8U team now, and there's other teams that have kids going to camp every day, 5 days a week, full day for 7 weeks of the summer. That's insane.
I know that's not good. Listen, I was so fortunate. I played with Wayne Gretzky, Philip Zito, two of the greatest players ever. They always talked about the fact that they never played hockey 12 months or 11 months of the year.
Why would
they hang up the skates, go play lacrosse, golf, whatever it is? I was listening to an interview by Wayne Gretzky talking about lacrosse. It was pretty interesting. Most people may know this or may not. The national sport of Canada is not hockey.
It's lacrosse.
It's lacrosse.
It's true.
Yeah. And that's what a lot of us would do at that time, where they take we would kind of overlap a little bit. We'd still be playing hockey and lacrosse would get started and vice versa on the other end. So we really didn't miss anything. I'd go to camp, like a Billy Harris, Davey Keon hockey camp for a couple of weeks during the summer. So it wasn't like we came back, it was just like totally stale.
You play a couple of weeks, but that's it. Like I spoke to this father, Jonathan Cornrine, his son plays, and he was saying how these parents don't get it because they're not hockey parents. Right. They're not hockey players. Right. And he said they're going to burn these kids out by 12, and they don't get the hockey guys.
And in the end, if they don't burn them out, what is the goal with playing that long? What are you trying to accomplish? You're trying to get a scholarship to college. Like the chances of even getting a scholarship to college is slim.
But are you trying to have a superstar Pee-wee? Is that what you want? Like a kid who scores all the goals in Pee-wee and then hates hockey by 12, 13?
You know what I've come to learn too, though? Like the parents love their kids, right?
Sure.
And in their mind, they're giving them everything they can to be the most successful person possible, right? As an athlete, a student, just a person in general. But it just doesn't. Like we had Jim Kite on, and we talk about this all the time. That's the snowplow parents, right?
Yes, and you can't do it for them.
Yeah, you want to clear the way out so there's no problems, but that's just not.
It doesn't work.
Yeah,
they don't learn.
Because they're always going to face problems. If they've never faced a problem before or gotten out of their comfort zone, then they won't know how to handle it when they finally have to. A million percent accurate, spot on. I love my kids, Julie, Molly, Thomas. Shout out. Thomas is an 8-year-old hockey player. He's not playing 5, 6, 7 weeks of hockey camp this summer. He's being a kid. He's swimming. He's playing wiffle ball. He's hanging out with his friends. He's playing baseball. Play once or a little bit here and there, but that's it. Right. And then when he gets back on the ice in the fall, he may be a little bit off his game for a week. He gets back on the ice again in a week. He's just little kids.
But who cares?
Yeah. Totally.
So what? Let him just play and have fun and love the game. That's all we want.
Totally, yeah. And that's a very good point. Like loving the game. Like that was a big thing for me. Is I loved it. Like I couldn't wait to. And I think looking back, if I didn't love the game, I probably wouldn't have made it because I had to like showing up every day. Well, I had to show up every day because
But now take it one step further. If you had played every day in the summer for 8 hours a day, 5 days a week for 7 weeks, would you still be in love with hockey?
No. Look at my attention span now. Like my attention span is about 4 minutes. Right?
I'm shocked that we've gone 15 minutes on this intro. I'm very impressed.
It is true though. Tom and I have gotten to be good friends here, and we'll have an interview, and we have like half an hour, 45 minutes to the next one. And so we talk a lot, get to know each other. He goes, "Man, you're just shutting down, aren't you?" Like,
well, it's better. Look, so we talk a lot on the phone, obviously, as we have to doing the show. But lately, I'll get to about 4 minutes into a conversation. He's already fading. And as someone who has a short attention span as well, not anywhere near as short as yours, I'm like, oh shit, he's done. All right. I'm like, all right, you got to go. You're done, right? He's like, yep. Move on. Well, you all said your sons, they had a certain time when they hang out with you.
It's hilarious.
2-hour mark and they're out.
We talked about all the time. Even the dog Maverick now is like that too. Like Maverick was all excited. Maverick came over yesterday with Shane and Leah, my oldest son and his wife. And Maverick obviously is my grand dog. And he's so excited to see me. He ran from the car up to the door. He's peeing all over my foot and everything. He's so excited. He's crying. He couldn't wait to get inside the door. Within 15, 20 minutes, he's going to stand at the door. He's ready to go home. He's at it. Like he's a Laidlaw. Totally.
Laidlaw trait. There you go.
We do laugh about it though. Like we say, we're open to talk about it now. We say, listen, there's a time limit. Like, they were over for maybe an hour yesterday and we all looked at each other. I said, like, get out of here.
Well, it's funny because my father's the same way. Like we'll go out to dinner, we go visit them, and he gets up and leaves. He just leaves when people are still eating. He's like, no, I'm done. And I guess his battery just runs out, and that's fine. And that's the way he is. And
I wonder how many people though just don't. They suck it up and go through it. Like maybe the battery is done, but they just suck it up. So like,
think about every meeting you've ever been in your life, probably, right? Maybe we just both have ADHD, and that's what it is. But I'm just like, all right, let's end this thing.
I know what people want to hang on, linger, and talk.
Let's go. Let's move on. Let's move on. Send an email.
One of the worst is too when you have a business meeting, especially, and the business meeting should really last like 10 minutes, but it goes an hour because everybody just wants to babble.
They repeat what you said 35 times.
Oh, totally. Yeah.
So what's not annoying and will keep your attention wrapped is this next episode with your ex-teammate Doug Soapy Soetaert and his incredible story of starting teams. We'll let people hear, but
yeah, he was good. Yeah, we battled a few times when I was an agent. He was a general manager. He did not. We were good friends, teammates, and everything like that. But when it came time to do a business, it was business time.
Oh yeah, you get tenacious.
Yeah, I remember one time we didn't talk to each other for a while. I can't remember. It was one player. Something was going on, and we battled, and we just dug our heels in and said, "I'm not talking to you then. That's it."
Two stubborn goats. Who finally broke?
Oh, he did for sure.
Of course he did. You know you're going to say that. But fans, hopefully you enjoy this show. Please like, share, subscribe, download, leave us a review on Apple. Those are important for us, and we'll keep giving you great content.
Good job.
And here we go, Tom. So fun show coming today. We have your first Ranger goalie, rookie year, and a friend of yours goes by the nickname Soapy. We have Doug Soetaert on the program.
Poor Dougie Soetaert have to play behind me my rookie year in National Hockey League. How you doing there, brother?
Good. Yourself?
Very good. Doing excellent. You're in Kansas City now, right? That's where you're living?
I've been here since about 2000 and 91, 92, I think, after I retired and moved out here. And worked a couple of years with the Rangers and then came out here and started up the old IHL team in Kansas City. So,
I didn't know you started the team there. Oh, okay.
Yeah. We started in a shoe store. I started 2 organizations at shoe stores. So
seriously, you started it? Oh, wow.
Yeah, we didn't have an office. We had an office downtown. It was in a shoe store. We took it over, and that's where our corporate office was for about the first 6 months.
So the owner of the team came to you and said, "Listen, I want you to start this organization."
Well, when I retired with the Rangers, I went out to Denver for 2 years and worked with the Rangers organization. With Pete Mahovlich was the head coach, Colorado Rangers, and then Denver Rangers. They changed names. And then on the way back, I was coming back to work with Espo as part of the player development program. Halfway back to New York, I got a phone call from Jack Diller, who was the president at that time, saying, "Doug, I just want to let you know that we let Phil Esposito go today."
Oh, is that right? Oh,
driving. I can still remember my wife was sitting beside me. We had the kids in the back. We're driving back because we really like you, but we want you to stay in the organization. So I was like, okay, whatever. We hired Neil Smith. So anyways, came back and spent a year there, but
wow.
And then went back to Canada. Took the job in Kansas City.
Okay.
And basically, that was kind of my university degree, is starting up a franchise.
Yeah, that's very cool. Where are you from originally? Where's your hometown?
Well, Edmonton, Alberta. That's where I grew up and played 4 years of juniors there with the Oil Kings.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah, 4 years.
Now, were you a goalie when you got started?
Yes, I was. Yeah, all through my youth and all that. I was too chubby to play forward or defense.
Were you really?
Yeah, but I was pretty good at stopping the puck. So
yeah, there you go.
Played there and then made the junior team as a 16-year-old. We had 2 16-year-old goalies that year, myself and the guy by Larry Hendricks. We went and played went to the Memorial Cup as 2 16-year-old goalies.
Wow, that's something.
And
wow.
We had guys like, you'll remember these names, Phil Russell,
sure,
Tommy Bladen, Don Kozak, Darcy Rhoda, Brian Ogilvie. There's a couple more there that played pro. We had a great team. And we went, actually, that's when you go back in time, the Western Hockey League, when you made it to the Memorial Cup, you could add a goaltender.
Oh.
So at that time, we had knocked JD out in Calgary about 3-4 weeks earlier, knocked Calgary out. We went on and played, I forget who it was, Regina, for the championship. And the Oil Kings decided to pick up a goaltender. Instead of going to the Memorial Cup with the 2 guys that got him there, they brought JD in.
Oh.
And he played.
Oh, so he played the bulk of the time then?
He played the games in the Memorial Cup. Yeah, he'd been off for 2.5 weeks.
Oh,
and he'll tell you himself he wasn't. Let's say he wasn't conditioned for it. But
GG get back on the pounds pretty easy there.
He was pretty beefy.
Yeah, those old gin and tonics.
It wasn't his call. They asked him. He went. He came. Right. He was part of our team, and so that's where I got to know JD a little bit.
Sure. How'd you feel about that?
Well, but we just didn't win it.
Yeah, that's so strange, Doug. How does that affect the team? All of a sudden, this outsiders in the playoffs.
Well, I'll tell you what, it was big news in Edmonton at that time because the Oilers weren't there. We were the only thing in town. We were packing the old Edmonton Gardens. We had 8,000, 9,000 people a game. That's before they had no smoking. There was smoke everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
And it was big news in the city, and there was big controversy in him coming in, how it's going to disrupt the team. And it did throw a little bit of a monkey wrench into, basically my feeling and the other goaltenders, Larry's feelings. But, the team played well, and we weren't good enough to win. It's just kind of the way it goes,
Yeah.
But it's funny. Here's a story. I seen our general manager at the time was old Bill Hunter, Wild Bill Hunter.
Oh yeah, sure.
He's a wild man from he was an unbelievable guy. And Brian Shaw was our coach.
Right.
So years later, I'm flying back on a plane and Brian's on there. And I said, Brian, whose decision was it to pick up another goaltender? He goes, Doug, he says it was Bill Hunter's. I said, seriously? He goes, yeah. He said, I want to just go with the 216-year-old.
Sure.
So cool. A couple of years later, I see Bill Hunter and I said, hey, Bill.
I know where this is going.
Whose idea was it? Because I wanted to question him. He goes, that was Brian wanted to. Well, we can't get a straight answer, right?
Oh, that's funny. That's funny.
But anyways, it is what it is. And, it's unfortunate we didn't win it that year, but we won the league championship.
Did you get back to the Memorial Cup again?
No, we didn't. We made it to the, I think, semifinals the following year. And then, in junior hockey, it kind of goes in cycles. You go up and then you go down. We were just going up in the first, second year, and then we kind of went down after that. So we didn't make it. And then actually the franchise moved to Portland a year after I graduated went to pros. So.
Oh, well, Tom, maybe you should explain the Memorial Cup a little bit because it's a huge deal in Canada. And a lot of Americans don't really know much about it.
Yeah, so you get the three major junior leagues, get the Western League, the Quebec League, and the Ontario League, and they'll go to the winners of all those leagues. And then how do they get? There's a fourth team too, correct?
Well, they've changed it. Yeah. That's the host team now. The host team, they have a host team, and then each league has a representative that went to the league. So
yeah, it's
sometimes you get two teams from one league.
Right. It's interesting too because usually that host team, even if it's not a good team, they need to know that they're going to have a good team. So they make a lot of trades before the deadline or to get better.
They do. Yeah. And you know what? You have to make, I know out west when I ran the team in Everett, we try to get in the U.S. and they won't allow it in the U.S. for some reason. But you had to make a presentation. You had to talk about your team, where you were, and what you were going to look like. Oh. And they bid for it. Obviously, the communities back it, and they bid on it. It's quite a process they go to be awarded it. And there's a lot of work to it too.
Yeah,
tons of work. It's a real community effort.
Yeah, it seems like Kamloops has had it a lot of times, right? Is Kamloops one of the teams that
they used to? Actually, they're having it this year.
Oh,
they're having it this year. They just traded every pick for the next 5 years to load up.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah. Oh, they did. They I think they traded 4 or 5 first round picks, a bunch of second rounds, third rounders, and a couple young players that were first round picks to get some of these 19, 20-year-olds, that had been drafted off other teams.
So when you were drafted, was it an 18-year-old draft or
20-year-old? Yeah.
So you had 4 years of junior hockey before you were drafted?
Yes.
Wow.
I was drafted as a 20-year-old by the New York Rangers, and it's a funny story. I remember skating around in warm-ups all the time in the old Edmonton Gardens, and there used to be 2 guys sitting right on the blue line in my end, right? And I'd see them. One guy had a chapeau on, a hat, and the other guy, the little guy with glasses, and I didn't know who they were, right?
Right. So
then I get drafted, and by the New York Rangers, talked to Mel Francis, said, I want you to come to Montreal. I want to meet with you. So I go to Montreal, and my agent worked out the deal, and I go to his room and knock on his door, right? Just kind of shaking, right?
Sure.
I see Emil Francis, and I open the door. He goes, "Hey, come on in." And I look, and here's these 2 guys sitting on the couch. The guy had his hat on and the glasses. I said, I had no clue who these guys were. It was Steve Berklowicz and Louis Passador were the scouts at that time.
Wow.
And Mr. Francis had a handwritten agreement that I actually have in my drawer right here.
That's very cool.
I still have it, of what my contract was and the terms and everything like that.
Right.
And obviously it agreed with the agent, and then went to a contract that I had to sign off on it, and I still have it here.
That's very cool.
And kind of cool, yeah.
What round were you drafted in?
I was the second round, 30th pick overall.
Wow. So you've done pretty well. That's a pretty high draft pick for a goaltender, right? Like they don't.
Yeah, there was actually, I thought I was going to go in the first round. They talked about going to Buffalo. I was supposed to be drafted late.
Oh.
In the first round, Buffalo. That was all the talk was Buffalo. And then Pittsburgh took a goalie. Actually, the guy he took his son out of Gord Laxton.
Oh.
And Pittsburgh took a goalie. And then Eddie Staniowski went to St. Louis. And then Bob Sauvé, and then myself.
Wow.
So yeah.
But a year earlier, Doug was drafted by his hometown team in the WHA draft. Any thought to go into the WHA, Doug?
You know what? It was very nice to be drafted in the WHA. I know I was drafted in the first round. I can't remember what number.
8th overall.
Was it 8th overall? You know, I practiced with them a few times the year before as a 20-year-old. I'd go out and practice with them when they needed a goalie. Jacques Font was there at that time.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, it was amazing.
Yeah.
And, you know, they offered me a contract, but I was actually quite fearful to sign in WHA because I wanted to play in the NHL.
Oh.
I just thought, you know what, if I sign this contract here, they might frown against it. You know, I was fearful of signing in WHA. So I just stuck it out and got drafted because they were drafting as 19-year-olds.
Where were we when you actually got drafted by the Rangers?
I was sitting at home waiting for a phone call.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they used to have the draft. I think it was in Montreal.
Yeah, all the time.
They would call you, and I got a phone call by my agent, and he had said that I was drafted by the New York Rangers. I said, "What?" I said, "Oh, you said Buffalo. I thought I was going to Buffalo."
Oh, wrong part of New York.
Yeah, exactly. But anyways, it was awesome, and you know, it was a great experience, that's for sure. But it's totally different than now.
Yeah, totally.
There was no hype and pageantry involved at all. It was just like you're drafted, and okay, that's great.
I was a 6th-round draft pick. I think they were in no hurry to call me. No rush. Called me in a couple of months. Yeah.
Doug, how was it like when you got to New York for the first time as a kid? Because obviously you're Western Canadian. That's got to be like eye-opening for sure. Right?
Yeah, it was pretty wild. You know, it's you know, you flow in there and you know, you're just out of your element, right? Until you're 20 years old trying to figure everything out. I was going in there to win a job, and that year they had Eddie Jockman was still with us. JD was there, and I think Dunk Wilson was there. So,
oh, wow.
So I was coming in. I didn't care. I wanted to win the job, and probably about the first week in practice, I took a hard shot off my ankle, and I ended up missing the rest of the training camp. I got sent down to Providence and started down there. So, but I look back at it, and to be honest with myself, I could have played a game here and there, but I don't think I was ready to play on a full-time basis. You know what I mean?
Well, with those guys there already, too. Eddie Jockman's a legend, JD, all that chat.
Yeah.
So
they traded Eddie that year, and then it's JD, and I think it was Dunk, and then
Wayne Thomas was in there a little bit, too, wasn't he?
Wayne came later on.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Wayne came on. Yeah, Wayne came later on from Toronto, but it was a great experience. But I'll never forget the 1 year. That was the first year down in Providence.
Was Gresh and Dave Maloney there as well?
Yes, they were.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't think Gresh played very much. He got called up early, and he was up there the rest of the year. Davey was down there for a while. Eddie Johnston was down there.
Oh, good.
Asked that about Siggy Sigankov there, and
Siggy. So we call him Siggy because he did enjoy his cigarettes. So, back in those days in the locker room too.
There's 3 of them I used to run in, but so anyways, I'll never forget though. I bought a car that year and I drove it back to I don't know how I got back to Edmonton. I just you have a map, right?
Yeah.
20 years old. And then the following year I came back and I had a trailer. I got married and I had a trailer, and I'm driving back. I had no clue how to get to where I was going. It was a Rockefeller Inn or someplace. It was a Holiday Inn in Rockefeller.
Right.
And I'll never forget, I was driving and I had no clue, and I took this one turnpike I didn't know, and I was pulling the trailer, and I pulled up to the toll booth, and the guy said, "What in the hell are you doing on here with this trailer?" I said, "Get the hell off. You're not supposed to have any trucks or trailers." And I said, "I'm lost." And he kind of guided me and took off. But I thought I was getting thrown in jail. But it was, quite an experience. Back then you don't have GPS, right?
Yeah, I know. That's funny.
Yeah, so,
definitely.
Yeah.
So again, how long in Providence? 2 years?
I was up and down. I was 1 year in Providence. I got to play 12 games that first year. I got called up. My first call up, actually, I went. We were in Richmond, and I got the phone call at 12:30 at night. And I had to fly out the next morning at 5 and flew to Kansas City, actually, where I live now. And got off the plane in Kansas City, waited for my bags, and my bags went all the way to San Francisco.
And where were you playing that night?
We were playing that night against the Kansas City Scouts at that time.
Right.
So luckily, who was it? Dunk ended up with appendicitis. So JD was playing. and I had to wear Dunks equipment.
So you're just backing up, though, right?
I was backing up.
Okay.
Thank God, because I couldn't have played.
Oh,
Because my skates were size 9 Dunks. I had to wear those old big Lang skates,
okay.
size 11 and a half. And his equipment didn't come close to what I wore. It was like a fish out of water.
Right. So when did you find that season you played the game?
I played 12 games that year.
Okay, gotcha. Okay.
Played 12 games that year.
How did it feel the first one?
It was exciting. Yeah.
I was nervous or?
Yeah, I got thrown in for a half game, and then I think I started my first game against Kansas City in Madison Square Gardens.
Okay.
We beat them 4-2. And actually, I think Craig Patrick scored on me that night. He was playing for Kansas City.
Oh, is that right? Wow.
But it was a great experience. You know, the Gardens is a pretty special place to play. Enjoyed every minute of it while I was there. And then I got sent down, went back, and then next year I was kind of up and down. And the following year, I think I don't know, 38, 39. Same thing, up and down a little bit, because at that time, goalies had 4 years you could send them up and down.
Oh, okay.
3 years without recall. And then the 1 year, they went to send me down at training camp, and the Islanders claimed me.
Oh.
And at that time, they could recall a player.
Yeah.
They had that one.
Yeah. It's called revocable waivers, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, or recallable waiver.
Yeah, it was okay.
You had one opportunity. If somebody claimed you could pull them back.
Oh.
So the Islanders claimed me, and then that's when Mickey Keating was there.
Yeah.
And Freddie and anyways, so I ended up staying the rest of the year.
And that had to be a trying season for you, Doug, right? Because they brought in a rookie defenseman who probably led to a lot of your goals against, right?
Yeah, I really did. Yeah. No.
I thought it was Bobby Orr too. He scored 6 goals that year.
He did. Yeah, he was pretty offensive for back then. I'll tell you.
Your career right there. What's he at?
Definitely. Yeah.
No, Tommy was good. He was a solid defenseman. Sure.
So that's the year we won a big run of the playoffs too, by 80-81, right? We went to the semifinals that year.
I think so. 79 was the year. You weren't there in 79.
No, my first year was 80-81. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. The next year we went. Yeah.
Yep.
So it was. It is what it is, right? It's all history, and
yeah. So you were with the team in the 79 run when they went to the finals?
Yes, I was. There was myself, Wayne Thomas, and JD. And,
that's right.
I had a good year going there at that time. JD was hot, and he carried us through the playoffs. So he was the man back then.
God, JD.
Yeah,
and JD, as you know, JD was just kind of, especially after the 79 series, he was this legendary player. You know, everybody wanted to, you want to kind of make JD happy, be one of the boys and everything. So how long did you spend with the Rangers then before you got traded?
I was 6 years in the organization.
Right.
And then the year that Herb came, well, I played the year before Herb came in, I played 39 games.
Yep.
Okay. I was playing a ton, and I was 500 at that time, and I was playing pretty well. And then all of a sudden, Craig decided to send me down to the minors, and I think Bakes got a call up, or I forget who.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that.
And then I got sent down. I wasn't too happy about that after playing 39 games. And so anyways, the next year I was, Craig says, well, do you want to stay here and play, or I'll give you a contract, or do you want me to trade you? I said, Craig, maybe it's time for me to move on. So Craig was good enough. He traded me to Winnipeg. Fergie was there.
Oh, that's right.
Fergie knew me he was the GM when the second year of my contract. And so he traded for me and Eddie Staniowski. The year before we went there, they won, I think, 13 games all year.
Oh.
The year that he made all the changes, we ended up winning, I think it was 39 games or something. 35 games. One of the most improved teams in the National Hockey League ever. So, opportunity. I played a lot.
Do me a favor, Soapy. Go back to the Rangers when you had the 39 wins, and then all of a sudden you're sent to the minors. Like, what goes through your head at that point?
Well, I was like a real shock. I was like, what? Craig, like I'm 500. I'm playing well, and but obviously, when you look back at it, you think, well, obviously they're looking at me as I can't do the job, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to give this other guy an opportunity, and I forget who the heck was playing with me at that time. I think
Steve Weeks,
JD and myself.
Okay.
And JD was hurt,
right,
off and on, and it was myself, and then
Steve Weeks was there too, wasn't he?
Weeks, Steve Baker. Weeks came after. I think they called Bakes up at that.
Right.
And gave him a sniff, and anyways, that it was pretty disappointing. And then so I was living. I'd bought a place in in New York, and all of a sudden I'm commuting to New Haven. Oh, so my time in there, and so it was just, mentally it was pretty tough, and I had a young family, and it's like, what the heck's going on? I thought I had pretty well, but sometimes you evaluate yourself a little bit, better than what you really are sometimes.
Yeah, a little bit.
Obviously, they wanted to make a change, and they gave me the opportunity to go somewhere else, and played 39, 44, and 45 games, I think it was. And the only reason I played 39 games the first year in Winnipeg, Fergie came to me and he says, Doug, he goes, I traded a third-round pick for you. He says, if you play 40 games, I got to give up a second, and I don't have a second.
Oh, is that right?
Well, yeah. So he says, I and this was about 2 weeks to go before the end of the season, right?
Right.
So I said, okay, I get it. I understand. Like, why am I not playing? Because I was playing pretty well.
Right.
And he says, he says, I can't give up a second. He says, I don't have one. So just kind of bear with me. And I did, like, what are you going to do, right?
It's good that he was honest with you, right? He told him what was going on.
He was awesome. Yeah, he was good. Yeah, he was.
So we had guys like Timmy Waters and Jim Kite and all those kind of guys there?
Yeah. Jimmy was a rookie. He was my roommate.
Oh, okay. We had him on a show, and I did not realize how deaf he was. I knew he had a hearing problem, but wow, he's quite a guy. He's very interesting.
Yeah, he is. He used to take his ears out at night, put them on the nightstand, and he'd be humming away, and say, cut those things off. But he was awesome, tough guy. Yeah, good player. He battled some of the heavyweights there.
Oh yeah.
He was a very competitive young man, so he was a good player. Lasted a long time in the NHL, and then actually I signed him when he was in the IHL. He was in Las Vegas, and then he was a free agent. I signed him in Kansas City.
Oh, that's right. So how many years did you play in Winnipeg?
3 years in Winnipeg. They were good. I enjoyed Winnipeg. I know it's cold and that, but you know what? I had an opportunity to play, and it was exciting at that time. And I think they go through the same kind of problems now as they do back then. It's tough to sign free agents. Not many guys want to go there because of being Winnipeg and cold. But you know what? It's a great spot, great fans, and the owner there now, Mark Chipman, is just outstanding. Like he's a top-notch individual. I got to know him there in the IHL. He had the Moose at that time.
That's right. Yep. Are they where are they now? The Moose, the minor league team.
They're still there. The American League team.
Okay.
Yeah, they play out of that building.
Oh, okay.
And then Doug goes to Montreal to back up a young kid in 1986 who, again, broke your heart, Tom.
That's right, too. I forgot about the Montreal, you going there. That's right, yeah.
Yeah, I got traded to Montreal. The reason I ended up in Montreal was because Serge Soetert came to Winnipeg.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
And he played a year and a half and got to know me and like me and whatever. We, I would say we were friends, but we were good. And when he went to Montreal as a general manager, he needed another goaltender. So Fergie was ready to move me on. And so I went to Montreal for 2 years.
That's right. So you helped beat us out, your old team beat us out in 86 to win the cup. That's right. I forgot about that. God.
We had Craig Ludwig on, and he told us that it was amazing to win the cup in Montreal. What was the experience like for you?
Yeah, it was a dream come true to win the cup for sure. There's a lot of hard work put in there. And the interesting thing, because we weren't that good at the beginning of the year. Like that was the year that Patrick carried us in the playoffs. But I can assure you at the beginning of the year, he and Steve Penny and myself, there was three of us there. We weren't very good. They weren't very good. Steve and Patrick started out. I was in the press box, and I had probably the best training camp of them all. And I waited about 10 games and then finally got my chance after they got blown up in Hartford. They gave up, I think it was 9 goals, 6 in the first period.
Oh, wow.
So the guys are going, you're going to get your chance now. Well, I ended up playing, I think, 27 games the second year, the year that we won the cup. And I got hurt in February. John Perron came to me, the coach at that time, and says, Doug, this is the 1st of February. He goes, get ready to play a lot of games to the end of the year because you're probably going to be my starting goalie in the playoffs. It's like, okay, great. And about a week later, Phil Sykes fell on me, and I blew both my knees out.
Wow.
So I ended up out of the lineup until the last 2 weeks of the season in April, and I was shooting my knees up with cortisone and taping them, and they were okay to skate, but when you had to go into the crouch, it was really bad.
Right.
So anyways, I played the last game of the season, at a one game in Buffalo, and I took a slap shot off the throat, and I didn't finish the game. So basically, I just dressed for the playoffs. I had my knees all taped up. I was ready to go. I was going to freeze my knees, do whatever I had to do, and got my name on the cup.
Wow.
Life is life, you know.
That's interesting. I didn't know that because I thought Patrick Waugh just came in and had this great career right off the start. But
you know what? You could see the potential was there. He was hot and cold. He was 20 years old, right?
Yeah.
But he got hot at the right time. A good guy, good kid. I supported him 150% the whole year. Obviously.
See, that's the amazing thing about NHL goaltenders, right? Like, you want to play. You want to be the guy but you also support the other goaltenders. It's kind of like the history. That's what NHL goaltenders do it, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and there was three of us, and I know Steve and Patrick were just so kind of relationship,
right?
And I was kind of like the guy in the middle that I'll support either one, whoever's playing. But Patrick kind of took over at the end there. We didn't think we were going to go that far that year. And first game in Boston, I think Patrick made like 18 to 4 in the first period, and guys are going, oh, maybe we got a chance here, boys, you know. And sure enough, he played unbelievable and Conn Smythe winner. And as a 21-year-old, he's got a storybook career.
Of course. How many years did you spend in Montreal then?
I spent 2 years in Montreal, 84, 85, 85, 86. I was a free agent after that, and Serge wouldn't give me a raise. So Rangers came knocking on my door, and I signed a deal with them, went back. But my knees were not very good.
Right.
At that time, and I didn't play very well, and I just, I got into coaching and managing at that time.
Oh, okay.
So moved on to a new career. I was 33 at that time, and it was time to move on.
I know. You get to that point. I was roughly the same age too. It's amazing, right? It goes so quick too, right?
It does. Yeah. Yeah. And you look at guys now, they're playing to like they're 37, 38. But the game's different now, though, isn't it?
They learn to train differently too. How to take care of themselves better. Like you and I. Well, I don't put you in the group, but a lot of us thought beer was a food group back then. So it was our training method. Have another beer and we'll fix it.
Yeah.
We had some times. I'll tell you, we had a blast. I love playing with the Rangers, the group of guys that we had. And everything.
Oh yeah,
people have.
It was a pretty tight group back then.
Yes,
really tight. I know when I was there, the years. Remember going for you were hoping somebody scored a hat trick because you go for a deli day.
Yeah, that's right.
He'd have a deli day. He'd be buying, or goalie got a shutout. It's a deli day. We're all going, right?
That's right, too. That's right, yeah. So you had, 3 or 4 years working with the Rangers, like in management? Is that?
I was 2 years in Colorado and then came back and did pro scouting for Neil Smith and Larry Flo. That's right. And then I struck out on my own, went to Kansas City and started up that franchise in Kansas City.
That's right.
In the IHL. That's where we tangled.
I was just going to say, yeah. So, all right, let's set the tone here a little bit. Yeah. So I get in the agent business now, and I think I'm Mr. Big Shot, right? I'm Jerry Maguire.
No surprise there.
Show me the money.
Show me the money. And Soapy, who was it? The Northern Michigan player was the young
Gary Emmons.
Gary Emmons. So I'm representing Gary Emmons, and now Soapy and I get a little bit of a battle. And I can't remember what it was all about.
What was that big contract you wanted?
I know, yeah. Oh, that's funny. Yeah.
I think the first year he came, I think I signed him to like a $30,000, and that was pretty decent money for my ass. And then you came in asking for a boatload.
I can't.
It was fair. It was fair. You were fair. We were doing our jobs. So we were tangling, and
we kind of got out a little bit though, didn't we? We kind of argued a little bit.
I think that you're throwing your weight around pretty good there.
So he's a big bully, is what you're saying.
Well, to get that point in my career, my agent business got pretty well, so I probably had a pretty big head thinking that I was,
literally or
figuratively? Well, both literally and figuratively.
Well, you know what? You were battling for your guy, and you have to be respectful of that. I get it, but there's only so many dollars in the bucket.
Yeah, how'd it turn out?
I think you got your way, didn't you? I don't think I got what I wanted.
I remember. I think we worked it out.
It's funny because
for about 5 years.
That's true. I remember I rarely got like that too. I don't know what happened to you and I, because I got a little pissy match over there. Yeah.
No, it was good. It was that was a great league though, Tom.
Yeah. Yes. Yep. Definitely. That was good. Yeah. Good for the kids.
There's a lot of guys that were like bubbled kind of NHL guys that were in the minors that came over and made a lot more money.
Yep.
And it was a great league. Lots of good players, and it kind of lost its way though.
Yeah.
It was those teams that were paying way over the cap.
Didn't Vegas have it? Did Vegas have Radek Balk? Vegas brought in Radek Balk and paid too much money.
Yeah. But you know what? If you look at it, Tom, they had the first salary cap in hockey. The IHL had a salary cap. You remember that?
Yeah, I do. Yes.
Larry Landon worked it out with our owners, and we had a CBA that had a salary cap on it. We used to have to play within that, whatever that, I can't remember the amount.
Right.
But then there was guys like Waddell and Dudley that were in, their owners in Detroit and wherever. Waddell was down in San Diego. Freddie Comrie was the owner, and they could go over the salary cap, so it made it. And they didn't care. They'd pay the penalties, right?
Right.
Pay the fine to the league. They didn't care. They just wanted to win. So anyway, it is what it is.
It's so like they did that in Vegas too, right? Didn't they go over the cap?
Oh yeah, Strummer. Yeah,
Strummer. That's right.
Yeah. So those three guys, they were kind of leading the way. They'd go over the salary cap, and their owners were like, "That's fine. We'll just pay the penalty. Go get some good players."
Right. Now, was your franchise making money?
We were. Yes, we were.
Oh.
Yeah, for about 5 years, 6 years, we just made. Yeah, it wasn't losing money. We made some money. Yeah.
So that's a good job by you to make a little bit of money in that league back then, especially. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you know what? We had it rocking here in Kansas City. After the first year, we were an independent team when I first came in here. And then the following year, we became an affiliate of San Jose Sharks. And we ran it like a pro team.
Right.
And they hadn't had hockey here in 10 years. So we were filling the old Kemp Arena. We'd have 10,000 on a Friday. We'd sell the place out on a Saturday. And people thought they were watching NHL hockey. And we were doing it the right way. You know what I mean? We're giving them good value for their dollar, and it was entertaining. And it was a blast. The players really like playing here, but like anything, they want to play in warm weather place with no taxes, and you try to compete with an Orlando or a team that gives them whatever they want. It's hard, but we survived. It was good.
Good.
Yeah.
And you stayed in Kansas City this whole time?
I did, and I've always had a place here. I've moved. I went from there to Everett, ran the junior team,
right.
started up another team in Everett.
Out of the shoe store.
Out of a shoe store. It was right on Main Street. That's the only thing we had. Our building was being built. Our offices weren't available, so we had a shoe store that we were working out of, and we got it going. We were an expansion team, and it's basically like running an NHL team without the big dollars.
Right.
And we had to scout all our players. We had an expansion draft. We were pretty successful. First year we went to the finals, which nobody could believe. A lot of good players. We got some pros, guys drafted high, and it was a good run in Everett. And they're still going. We made the playoffs every year when I was there, and there's continuous 20 years now since we started that franchise, and they've made the playoffs every year.
Wow, that's something. How many years were you there?
I was there about 11 years.
Oh, wow. That's a good run.
Yeah, it was.
Wow.
Good.
And what'd you do after that?
I went to Europe. I went to Red Bull. I worked with the Red Bull organization for 2 years.
No, you're in Kansas City still. Do you think, it's often mentioned that Kansas City is going to be one of the next expansion spots. Do you think that's going to happen, or you think we're close to that? Expansion for the NHL?
Yeah, I think hockey could go here. I really do. Unfortunately, I think they use Kansas City as leverage. Pittsburgh used them a few years ago to get a new building.
Oh, that's right, Chuck.
They came in, they looked around. It was Anschutz, the guy in L.A., right? That's when Lyowicki was working there. He came in here and gave the city $50 million seed money to build a new arena downtown. And then they managed the facility, so that it helped the city, and get themselves going here. And with the notion that they're going to get an NHL team or an NBA team, and neither one has happened. And obviously he's moved on. He does his Oakview group now. He's with that other association, but I think Kansas City could support an NHL team. People like hockey here, but you got to have a local ownership, and there's no local league that's going to step up. That's the problem, and that's the biggest problem. Like even the Chiefs, the Hunts, they're from Texas, right? They fly in for the weekend. They're from Texas, and the Major League Baseball guy, they finally sold to the local group here now. So Sherman, he's a local guy, so they finally got. But it's always been ownership from out of state or out of the city. So, but I think it could go. I do.
What do you got going on now? What, you working for the city or something?
Oh, I did a year for I did a year for the youth organization here, just trying to help them out. I said I'd do it for a year, and did that for a year, and said, "Time out. That's it. I'm done. I'm retired. Semi-retired unless something good comes along. But
there you go.
Ready to pack up, go down to Palm Springs for a month."
Oh, nice. Grandkids and everything, or what's going on?
Oh, yeah, I got 3 grandkids. My daughter's got all 3 here in Kansas City.
Oh,
so
nice.
I got a son married down in St. Louis, and my oldest boy, Dennis, is in Dallas, and he works for the Stars. He's equipment manager for the Stars.
Oh, I didn't know that. Wow.
He's been there 15 years, yeah.
Wow, very cool. So any regrets in your career, your life at all, Doug?
Not really. You just keep moving ahead.
Yeah.
I've always wanted to be, involved at the National Hockey League level, and I did for a while. And obviously as a player, that was one of my goals, and then I wanted to get in management and get that opportunity. I come close a couple of times. I interviewed up in Edmonton when Soetaert was fired there.
Oh.
And was the backup plan to Kevin Lowe, so I missed out on that. Interviewed in Calgary there when Buttons got the job, but those days are far behind. But life is good. I got no complaints. You work hard and you treat people right, and you just kind of go about your business, so.
Yeah, you always impressed me that way. Like, there wasn't the big ups and downs with Doug Soetaert. It was like, just move ahead, move forward. But if you didn't like something, you didn't like it, but you didn't sit around and sulk about it. You just kept working.
Yeah, you got to keep working, right? That's all you can do. So, a story, Craig, remember Craig Cunningham?
Yeah, yes, I do remember that name. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, he was lining up for a opening face-off. We had 6,000 people in the building, went through warm-ups. His mom happened to be down from Trail, BC the night before. They went for dinner, had the pregame skate, came to the game, national anthem goes, lines up to have the face-off, and stood there, right wing, lining up, and fell over. His heart stopped.
I remember hearing this. I remember the story too. Yeah.
This is unbelievable. And they did CPR on him for 85 minutes.
Wow.
They took him to the hospital and they saved his life.
Wow.
But he ended up losing his left leg.
Oh, that's right. I remember that.
Part of his leg. Yeah.
Right.
Great kid. And
so you were at the game, Soapy, when that happened?
That was my team.
Oh, actually,
that was
wow.
My team. Yeah.
So how are you feeling that? I mean, we see things like Clint Malarchuk when he got cut in the neck and everything like that, and you think, and the fact that somebody could die in the hockey rink.
He wasn't even hit. He was lining up for the opening face-off.
Right.
Perfectly healthy, 28, 27-year-old man.
Yeah.
Lined up, and he just went over backwards. Everybody looked like, what the hell's going on?
Right.
Trainers came over. They started giving him CPR. They shocked him on the ice.
Oh, wow.
And the fans are still there?
Tried to get him going.
Yeah.
Put him on a stretcher. Took him to the ambulance. In the ambulance, they shocked him. When they got him in the ambulance, never got it going. Took him to the hospital. And on the way to the hospital, they shocked him again. Couldn't get his heart going. They gave him CPR for 85 minutes.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Got him in the hospital. You should read the story on it.
I saw the story. They did did they do a documentary or news story? I saw it someplace. Yeah.
And then he was in the St. Mary's Hospital, and the guy that the administering doctor that night was a heart surgeon, but top world-renowned guy was at the University Hospital. They called him. After 85 minutes, they finally got his heart going again, just faintly. They called him, and this guy came over from another hospital with his staff in his ECMO echo machine, I think it was.
Oh, yeah.
And they hooked him up to it. They got him going, and they saved his life. I guess what he had was just a misfiring of the heart. I think there's an electrical charge went through. And it was like unbelievable. The team was in distress.
Right.
Guys were like a mess for about a week. We had to bring in our sports psychologist.
Really?
It was kind of a life-altering thing for a lot of people. Why not,
Yeah. Okay.
But thank God he survived, and, he lost his leg, or his bottom part of his leg, but he's happy as can be. He hasn't changed as a person, and he's working in the NHL. So he's worked for Vegas now as a pro scout.
Oh, wow. Very cool.
That's incredible.
Yeah. You read that story. It's incredible what these doctors can do. Like this guy was, I'll never forget. We're in the room. His mother's there.
Oh.
She just flew in from the night before. Mother, myself, and our 2 medical trainers are in there. And this little doctor comes in with a little white coat on. He got these little black rimmed glasses, and he introduced himself as Dr. Kepley. And he says, Mrs. Cunningham, he goes, your son is in severe condition. I'm not sure I'm going to be able to save him. He's being straight up.
Sure.
He goes, I'm going to do everything I can to save your son's life. And he says, I want you to know something. I love my job, and I'm really good at it.
Good.
That's what he said. And I'm going, yeah, this guy's going to get her done. I wanted to high five him, right?
And he did.
We did there, and you know what? He saved his life. It was like I had goosebumps. It was an incredible situation to be in, to go it's behind the scenes to see it, and and then deal with the rest of the players. And there's been some ups and downs, that's for sure. And thank God he pulled out of that one.
Yep,
that's cool. It's cool. He's working in the National Hockey League too. That's good.
Yeah,
very good. Well, Soapy, it's great to see you again. Good to see you're doing well. You're a grandfather now.
Yeah,
you work at a shoe stores. You can work at anywhere. Nothing you can.
What size you wearing these days?
That's right, too. Yes, definitely. That's a great story. That twice you started franchises at a shoe store. That's what.
Exactly. Yeah, in the minor leagues, right? That's the way it was.
Well, again, good to see you, Soapy. Thanks for coming on the show, and we'll have you again someday. Okay.
Thanks, Doug.
Right.
Yeah, good talking to you guys, Tom and Tom.
Thanks so much. Yeah, there you go.
See, Tom, so look, you can have a great idea and start a business out of anywhere. You can start a hockey team out of a shoe store. Who knew?
Doug Soetaert, he's had quite an interesting career on the ice as a player, and then after starting 2 franchises, both out of shoe stores, too. That's pretty funny.
Unreal. They've worked for him. And then he told us a great story towards the end, and it's just, great episode.
Yeah.
And you can, if you have dreams, find a vacant shoe store.
There you go.
And start up a business.
He's a good man, too. I always admired him. He's that even-keeled guy, didn't get too up or down, and good man.
Great show.
Yes, sir. All right, Grasshoppers, thank you for listening. We had a fantastic show. We'll see you next time.